Yeah, the difference this time, this is federal court in downtown Fort Worth. The charges against him more serious this time. But in a fifth floor courtroom today, I also heard the other side of this man's story for the very first time. His name is Chancellor Hill. He's 25 years old. And in Grapevine, he was arrested 3 times in 2 months on charges of sexually assaulting a child, indecent exposure, and showing explicit photos. In one case, allegedly trapping a 10-year-old boy in a public bathroom, sexually assaulting him and taking pictures with his cell phone. Accusations concerning enough for federal charges to be leveled against him, too, for that same offense. But in court today, I also learned his mental capacity is very much in question. He's been considered special needs his entire life, raised by his grandparents after suffering a traumatic brain injury, the victim of shaken baby syndrome as an infant, his grandparents told me. His grandmother, in tears in the courtroom, told me he is confused and that he is not the monster people are making him out to be. Factors that will likely be considered at his next federal court appearance here on Monday. But until then, at least, right now, he remains in federal custody. He will be in federal custody at least until that Monday detention hearing. And if he is convicted of this charge against him in federal court, he faces as much as 15 to 30 years in prison. In Fort Worth, I'm Kevin Reese. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.